Well, howdy there, backpackers. Fireball coming at you with another EP of Gearhaulics, where I am probably way too obsessed about talking about the gear we take into the backcountry. Today's video is sponsored by not Zevia or anybody else. Still coming at you sponsor free here for those of you who care. And it's not like I would sell my soul out to be sponsored by anybody. No, just kidding. Welcome back in here. I'm doing another solo cast tonight for you here, and I usually reserve these for those in-depth deep dives into different pieces, or I should say companies usually, but it could be pieces of gear that I don't currently own but have sparked my interest, shall we say, and are usually decent looks, I would say, as far as, you should probably give them a look at the very least, even if you are not necessarily in the market to buy anything new just yet, because that's kind of where I'm at with this company tonight. And tonight's cast is going to be all about Rockfront Gear, a probably still a little known company out in the Ukraine here. And to kind of preface this one here, folks, I think us folks here in America can probably count on one hand here. I can only really name two as far as the number of gear companies that are what I like to consider more comprehensive, right? So they're the companies that you can get a decent amount of gear from to really round out a lot of pieces in your kit and in your gear loadouts here. And the only two that I can really think of are probably Sea to Summit, and the other one now that's gaining in popularity is probably the Decathlon. Now, there are other companies that are out there that have, smaller, much smaller storefronts and or only specialize in maybe one or a few pieces of gear. You got to think like Atom Packs, which I think is also in Europe, maybe the UK. I could be wrong on that one. And then the other one is, like my favorite alcohol stove system, which is by a German company called X-Boil. So tonight is going to be all about this, what I'm considering a little bit more well-rounded storefront here. I actually went over to their site. I'm going to jump into that in a hot second here with the screen share for one particular piece of gear that I had heard about. But then when I got there, I was like, wow, they actually have a decent amount of offerings that they provide. Now, and also one last thing to preface here is I kind of, you might be thinking like, well, who do they kind of remind you of? And for me, here in the States, it would probably be Enlightened Equipment. And it's mostly because I think this company, and again, I could be wrong, but I think they mostly specialize in down products. So they not only have like sleeping bags and quilts, but they also have a variety of different clothing options that they also make with that down. But they also, offer some other pieces that I'll get into right about now. So let's get into the screen sharing for tonight and pop up the old website here and just go through a bunch of the different offerings. Let's start out on the homepage here instead of going to where I'm probably going to start off with. Just kind of show you what they got here. So another thing that you have to be on the lookout for here is that everything is going to not be in this is kind of dumb, but not be an American, which means that, they have a different currency, right? They're using the euro. They also do their measurements in centimeters instead of inches. And then some of us are used to this, but the weight is in grams. I'm still not used to it, but the weight's in grams instead of ounces and or pounds. All right, so let's dive into the options here. Not too much to really say about their website here. It's not anything, amazing. The other thing I'll mention too is I don't think that they're a cottage company as far as made to order. They're probably cottage in that they're smaller, but they're not necessarily, made to order, which basically means a lot of their options you're not able to customize that much. They do, you got to think like Outdoor Vitals, and a few others like that, where they'll offer a couple of different sizes. They might offer, 1 to 2 different color variations. Actually, I don't think they even offer that. I think they only have one color option for each option that I'm going to be going through here. And then, that's pretty much it. Just a couple of different sizes here and there. So They have an About Us section, contact. Obviously, they have it in Ukrainian as well as in English there, so that's pretty good to see. A bunch of different socials, so definitely check them out. And right here, I want to highlight this right away, and I was going to mention this as another talking point: free worldwide shipping on any order over €100. So historically, I don't think that the US dollar was ever higher than the euro since they launched the euro. So obviously, if you're doing the conversion there to US dollars, it's going to always be more in American dollars than in the euro. So I'm going to go in ascending order tonight and not descending. I'll save the quilts and sleeping bags for last here. And I'll get into the sales section, maybe second to last here. Let's go into their accessories first here. And again, really surprised by the amount that they have to offer in their shop here. As I'm kind of scrolling through, you can get a good look at the different types of offerings here. Why not? Let's just start on page 2 here. They even have stakes. They got a little water bottle here. They've got some, even like some smaller ditties, like, guy line kits and ropes and things of that nature. A quilt set. They even have like armbands for a poncho. They actually sell a poncho as well. I'll get into that one. But if you have like a regular poncho and you just want to have an extension for your arms, you can go with that. They even have a little case here for your phone. If you if you wanted to put a sleeping bag on your phone, storage sack. They got some gloves. This one here is cool. I can show you real quick. They ended up comboing up, and this is really for. And again, you got to think Ukraine, right? They probably have some pretty cold winters over there as well. For you colder campers out there, they have like what looks to be like a traditional booty right here, like a down booty. But then they also have these covers for it too. So I'll click into this one first here and show you these. I did the conversion already on the weight of these. So here you can see them kind of comboed up. So this is kind of like, you don't want to wear your booties around camp. So these kind of like slip into these other covers. They're essentially covers with maybe like a little bit of like harder, matted rubberized material at the bottom there to give you just a little bit of grip. But they're more of like a camp shoe. And you can probably just slip your normal socks into these as well. As you can see, it lies pretty flat. 3 different sizes here. And then I already did the weight conversion on these. If you're like a size medium like I am, which is somewhere around like a shoe size of like a men's 10, it's 150 grams, which I think is a little bit over 5 ounces there. So not bad for a camp shoe. So that's one option there. I don't want to spoil it with these 2 options right here because we're going to get into that later. We've got a hiker towel, like a pack towel. They also have a bunch of liners in here, other stuff sacks. And another cool thing that I noticed is they have a couple of different pillow options here. You got to think, I think this one, I'm not sure. I didn't click on this one just yet. I'm not sure if this is the inflatable option or not. Not exactly sure. It's only 170 grams, so I'm assuming that would be like their inflatable option there. But they have a textured cover to it, so that's pretty good, as well as a band to go around your sleeping bag, which is super useful. And then same option here. What's really cool, I didn't notice this before, is they also have that band option for this is more of their compressible pillow. So you got to think, like, one of my favorites is the Thermarest small compressible pillow. This is a little bit heavier. This is sort of like the medium version of that, but they have the toggles and the loops to really lock it down on the pad. So it's definitely, I can already tell, a super comfortable pillow option, but with the added bonus of being able to put it on your pad or lock it on your pad. All right, that's it for the accessories. Let's get into the tarps and shelters. Not much to really say about this one here. They got a couple of different tarp options, one of which is just a straight tarp, which you could potentially drape over this little bivy option that they have here, which you can string up between 2 different trekking poles. Not uber expensive for either one of them. And then again, they're showing the stakes and guy lines, but I kind of want to show you the poncho option here real quick, which is pretty cool. Now, there are other companies that are doing this as well. I think 3FUL Gear also has an option similar to this. One thing that you'll note here is, obviously, first of all, how kind of goofy it looks, but we're not in it for the fashion here, folks. We're in it for the function, right? One of the main features that I'm kind of looking at, if I were to ever kind of like upgrade from my, poncho that I have right now, which is, I think is from Red Camp, is it doesn't have this like belt option right here. So that you can see that this dude has a little clip option here to really kind of snug it around you. One of the main complaints I think that most people have about ponchos is that it kind of blows up over your head. This also has the extended arm options, right? And then it also has this Velcro piece in the back here. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it has a lot of different toggle options to really dial it in and get a better fit. And you can see at the bottom here that it also goes into tarp mode. So I think this is going to end up opening up so that you can, you know, string it up and have it as an option for additional rain protection. It has its own stuff sack. And 58 euros really isn't that bad. It's not super cheap, but it's not that bad. I think 240 grams is about 8.5 ounces there for you gram weenies. So just a shade lighter than my Red Camp option. But again, having that belt option, the adjustable head is pretty cool. All right, so let's get on over. I think I might actually save the sales section to last. Let's go to clothing next. So now we're getting into more of the cream of the crop here, or the down options, as well as they also have a couple of windbreaker options and additional rain protection options. You got the kilt right here, windbreaker. I mean, again, you know, you got to think like Enlightened equipment. Even with their prices here, they're kind of a little bit pricey. I didn't check the weight on those, but I would imagine that it's going to be uber light, like probably around 2 ounces or less. And then they have men's and women's options in here as well. They also have vest options, getting into the down now. They got a balaclava, which at 46 euros really isn't that bad. A heavier puffy jacket option. And then they got the down pants. My boy Snackbox always rips me on that one, but they definitely add a lot of warmth to you there. They have kind of like a European style hat right there. So not really our traditional Scully style that we're used to here in the States. Then some vest options. They also have down shorts and down skirts, which I'm not really sure what the application is for those, but that's kind of interesting as well. So they have the UL puffy option here for the women's, but I didn't see it in the men's. So maybe they're out. And they took it down. This is obviously a heavier weight option to get into colder temperatures there, but really cool options there to protect you against wind, rain, and colder temps. Let's get into the sleeping bags next, kind of rolling right along with this one here. And you're going to see a lot of traditional mummy style sleeping bags. Now, what you might see as like a common thread here is that this is kind of geared more towards colder temps. However, they do have gear that is, you know, more focused on warmer temps as well. So anything, and they do a kind of weird conversion here. I've noticed that their Rockfront 200 series, it goes up in overall temperature rating as the number goes up. So 200 is some of their lightest. That's going to be their warmer style stuff. And then they go, I think, like 350 and then 450 here gets you down closer to freezing. And then obviously, I think they have a different rating system here. You can see 600, 800 for their mummy style zip sleeping bags here. I'm not going to focus on any one of these in particular, except for this guy right here. And then again, I got a couple of liners here. I wasn't able to find any kind of temp value on the liners. Let me click into this real quick to see if it says how much it adds. No, it's only really giving you like the weight here. So I think these are probably geared more towards just being comfortable rather than adding weight, or I should say temperature value, more like the reactor series from like Sea to Summit. But I want to click into this one right here. This one obviously uber expensive. This is going to be closer to like 500 US dollars, 448. But this is their combo set here. And this is kind of taking their top sheet, combining it with a quilt as well as a sleeping bag option. This one's going to get you down. I think it's rated to like a -10 is what they rated it to. But again, this is going to be like their Swiss Army knife, right? Where you can kind of piecemeal it. If you put all of them together, then you can get down to some really cold temps. And I'll show you right here. And then they'll give you the temp rating for each one of them if you were to piece them out, sort of like piecemeal. So for the all season system, -10, I think gets you down to about 15 degrees Fahrenheit there. And then obviously, if you're only going with the quilt, the +10 degrees Celsius is somewhere around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's a really cool system. But I'm kind of glazing over this real quick because last section that I want to get into here is going to be their quilts. Now, this is what I originally kind of came in and saw these guys for, kind of got attracted to these guys because if you'll notice, they have a top sheet system similar to the Zenbivy system. Now, I did a cast on this one, another solo cast, only focusing on Zenbivy's offerings not too long ago. So if you want to get a deeper dive into that one, kind of click back through the podcast episodes here and find that one. This isn't going to be really that much of a comparison. I'm going to talk a little bit about it just because this is the only other company that I've seen so far that is specifically doing this style where it's not just a top sheet, because there are others like Thermarest and other companies that have like top sheets that they offer, but it's the option to lock down a quilt on top of your top sheet here, which is what they have. So I think, I'm not sure if this is some of their original stuff. This is some of their heavier weight option pieces here. You got to think of like when Zenbivy first launched, they had, you know, their what they were kind of marketing was more like comfort, but not really to the backpacking community, more for like car camping style, and just being a little bit more comfortable. Now they have the sheets that they sell just by themselves, but any one of these options that you get up here, as well as here in this middle row, if you buy the quilt, it also comes with a top sheet. So I'm not really sure, you know, I feel like they should offer one or the other or both, so that you can have the option to pick up one of these. I think they only offered this because when this original line came out, they had a heavier weight sheet, which is this one down here. And then they recently, I think more recently, came out with more of that ultralight top sheet option. And then this one here is a pre-order. This, I think, is just a top quilt. It doesn't really lock onto their pad, but it does get you down to colder temperatures. So let's get into a couple of specific examples here. Let's start with their warmer weather quilt system here, and let's just focus on the pictures right here just to give you a closer look of what we're looking at in their system. So if you remember, Zenbivy's system has, I think, 3 or 4 toggles on either side, focusing on more of the upper body, right, on both sides. They have the toggle system, which is a little bit harder, I would imagine, to get in and out. What Rockfront is going with here, and if you can kind of tell by zooming in a little bit, let me go to a different picture. This is a little bit better. They're going with a zip system. Now, it's kind of good and bad when I look at it. I would want to say that the reason why it's good is because it's going to zip all the way around you, which is going to really lock in that heat, right? There really is zero room for error as far as being able to have drafts kind of come into play, except for maybe down by the foot boxes. I don't think they have a closed sewn foot box. I think they have more of the drawstring style. But as far as like the system locking it onto the pad, this is pretty all inclusive, right? Like you really can cinch this down all the way around you. Now, I don't think you're going to have as much of an issue with the Zenbivy system with drafts as much, because it locks you down where you need to get locked down. And this is obviously a full sheet, right? Rather than the half sheet option. They have a full sheet option on Zenbivy, but they also have a half sheet option now as well to kind of shave even more weight. Let's get into the weight and price points here as well. This one obviously is one of the cheaper options because it's only the 200 version. So the temperature rating on this one, I think for comfort, is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or like 10, 11 degrees Celsius. And then it's only 209 euros, which really isn't that bad for more of a complete system. And if you're looking at the overall weight, it's going to be a little bit lighter as well. They're using an 870 fill power down, which is pretty good as well. Hydrophobic, which is nice. The sheet weight, I think, is for their ultralight is a little bit over 3 ounces, somewhere around there. Maybe 3.5, and then this blanket weight is a little bit less than the other one I'm going to talk about, which is going to be, and it looks exactly the same, but it's their 350 version. It comes in at 258 euros here. This one is going to weigh the total of both the quilt, or they call the blanket, as well as the top sheet, is going to be somewhere around 24 ounces. So the quilt itself, which, and this is going to get you down to 4 degrees Celsius, which the comfort rating is going to be closer to 40 degrees. So not quite freezing temperatures there. but getting you down a little bit further. So the quilt weight is going to be a little bit closer to like 20 to 21 ounces. And then the sheet weight, again, around 3.5 ounces for that. So this is actually coming in at a competitive price point. I also did the conversion, or current conversion when I'm shooting this. 258 euros is somewhere around like 270 to 280 US dollars. And again, you're getting free shipping on this as well. Not to be a comparison video, but if you're looking at any of the Zenbivy stuff, they don't offer free shipping on their stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of that's kind of a bummer. The other thing that I want to do here, let me remove this screen and see if I can share again. I want to hop on over into Zenbivy as well, just kind of show you the comparison there. So that's really the only offerings that Rockfront has right now. I think they're still a little bit newer, a little bit younger. So let's get over to Zenbivy again to kind of remind you what they have. I think Zenbivy is just, they give you more options, right? You have the heavier weight options, sort of like Rockfront, but they also allow you to mix and match. They have their new ultralight option, which is crazy expensive, and I wouldn't really recommend unless money is no object. But here's their competitive option to Rockfront here. The total system for their light system is around 23 ounces, so somewhere around an ounce less. But the price point is a little bit higher. You got $259 for a quilt, and then the top sheet comes in at $60. So you're looking at about $320. And then you also have to add shipping on top of that. And then they have a couple of different temperature ratings as well, and they get you down further. Their 10 degree is a comfort of somewhere around 20 degrees. So you do have the option to spend a little bit extra and get down a little bit further. However, they also have an option here. You can go with their ultralight sheet option, and then go something like with their core bed, if you want to add on and tack on a couple of extra ounces here. This whole system, because it has this top sheet is super heavy, I wouldn't go with that, is 35 ounces. However, if you were to go with just their core quilt here, right, 25 degree down, which is going to be like a 35 degree limit, and that's similar to their light bed option, a couple degrees less than the Rockfront, right, about 5 degrees less. If you're looking at the full details on this one, 25 degree down version is going to weigh 1 pound 9 ounces. So if you combo that up with their light sheet system, you're at 1 pound and about 12 ounces. So that's what, like 26 ounces, somewhere around there. So a little bit heavier there. However, look at the overall price. You're saving somewhere around $60 off the price. If you add a 189 plus their ultralight sheet for $60, then you're closer to that 200 and what is that? Trying to do quick math here, 250-ish dollars, somewhere around there, which is still going to come in cheaper than the Rockfront option. So let me stop sharing the Zenbivy here and pop open Rockfront again real quick, because they are the main stage here. So free shipping on this one. So it's very competitive, I would say. Obviously, you don't have any of the color options here. Are there any other? I don't think there's any ability on this one here either to come in a different size. I'm not sure if the warmer one had a different size. They do have a color option here, but I didn't see any other option for that. It doesn't seem like you have another size option on this one here. I think this was the one that was out of stock not too long ago. So I think more and more people are kind of hearing about them and talking about them. The other thing I want to notice here and kind of call out is their pillow that they have. It's like a pillow stuff sack. So Zenbivy has more of a hood option, as well as like a clip on the inside to clip their pillow down. Here they have a sleeve with some buckles on it, as you can tell, to kind of lock down anything that you want to stuff in there. So you can put clothes in there, you can put one of their pillows in there, or whatever in there. And it's kind of funky. I don't know if I would actually use that. It looks kind of slippery. It doesn't look super comfortable there. So, and it's not just a knock on them. I probably wouldn't use the Zenbivy option either. I just like to have like a normal pillow there. The one other thing that I want to note here is the overall width here. So they have, and I didn't talk about that for their top sheet. The width, I think, goes up to a 25-inch wide pad. But you'll notice here where the zipper is, it kind of comes in pretty tight. So you'll notice, and I think this is based on a model of, I think, a 25-inch wide pad, down by like your hips and your torso area here, you can see it goes pretty wide. It goes towards the rails. It goes towards the outside there. So you're getting pretty close to, I'd say, somewhere around 24, maybe 23 and a half inches right there as far as your width. But as you can see up by your shoulders and your neck, it really cuts in. I did the conversion of the width near your shoulders there. And I forget if they actually list it right here, if it's in the description. It's somewhere around, I think I had seen it and did the conversion somewhere around like 21 inches, which is pretty snug and pretty tight. So if you really want to like lock this down and, you know, get the max warmth out of it, then you got to be prepared to have this come in a little bit tighter. Now, again, that's kind of a knock on the zipper system. It's really good, again, at locking down all those drafts, but it doesn't really offer you, especially anybody who's like broader shouldered, to you know, have a little bit more space there. So all right, I think that's pretty much going to do it on this one. I have been rambling a little bit longer. I didn't want to go on too long with this one. Last thing I'll look at right here and real quick is going to be, if I can get it to work. I'm not sure why my preview's not working. Let's go to the sales sections. They do have a little bit of a sales section here for some of their, I don't know if it's their older stock or if it is used. I actually didn't even look at it, but I don't see anywhere here that says that it's a used product or has any defects. So I think maybe it's just a an older run of a product, so you can get some discounts on some of their stuff as well. Pretty decent discounts here too. You're seeing, I'm not sure if you can see it on screen, but you know, this women's jacket started off at 150 euros, now down to 119. So really not that bad at all. All right, so let's just wrap that one up here. I think we're going to do it on that one. Thank you so much for watching this very brief and kind of scattershot dive into Rockfront's options. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have heard about this one or not yet. I think it's actually a decent option. I was really hoping that it was going to come in a little bit less than the Zenbivy option, because Zenbivy is kind of like the leader in the space now when you're talking about a sleep system that has a quilt that kind of locks onto a top sheet. The reason why I wanted to cover these guys is because I think that more and more companies are kind of trending in this direction, right, to try and offer a more comprehensive, more comfortable sleep experience for campers, but also specifically backpackers that like to go out and also save some weight there. I think we all know that it's going to be a little bit of a penalty to add that top sheet, but if it's going to lock in that heat and really eliminate those draft points, especially for quilt sleepers like myself, and especially for y'all who like to get into the colder temps or kind of pushing those, you know, 3-season into 4-season temperatures, then you're going to want to look at something like these options here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, whether you think these guys are a decent option or not. If you haven't heard of them and you're thinking about getting into them, just let's just kick up the discussion down below. If you're not aware, I also have an Instagram account over on IG. I'm at Dave_off_grid. Yeah, it's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.